Welcome, everyone. My guest today is a full-time charter captain in Central Florida, a podcast host, and for the last 8 seasons, he's brought his fishing adventures to your TV screen on the Captain's Log on Waypoint. Captain Jonathan Moss, thank you for hopping on.
Amber, thanks for having me. What a privilege to be able to spend some time with you and to interact with you and to speak with your audience.
Yeah, I am so glad you're here, and I wanna start at the beginning. You've been fishing Orlando waters around Florida since you were 3 years old. How do you go from little kid fishing to a captain who does it for a living?
I got the bug. I was hooked from the beginning. It started at the age of 3 years old, brim fishing with my dad, earthworms, little float, easy stuff, getting into fishing. And I fell in love immediately. Just being outdoors, spending time in God's creation, being on the water. There's no other place I'd rather be. And fast forward throughout my life, that was always my escape. That was always my place. I graduated from the University of Central Florida with an education degree. I became an educator. I was teaching every day. I was a PE teacher at an elementary school, and every day I was like, "Man, it's beautiful weather. I should be on the water." And then one day, it just happened. I was like, "You know what?" I started praying about it, and God said, "Go fishing." Here we are. Been guiding now for 10 years full time. It's been an absolute pleasure and an honor to be able to share my favorite places with guests from all over the world and see them have these moments of experience. Seeing that fish respond to a lure, or seeing a kid catch their first fish, families creating memories together on the water. That is the best part of my job. And I still get to educate. I still get to teach anglers. Even today, I had a newbie angler on the boat, and I was able to talk them through their casting and presenting to fish and seeing the light bulb go off and them catching fish. So it's my favorite. And to be able to do that for a living, I'm very, very blessed to be able to do so.
I mean, it's almost like you're still a PE teacher, right? It's just a different kind of physical education.
Yes, yes. My office is a little more wet. Occasionally my office would get rained on, or the occasional sprinkler would pop up and the kids would freak out and go bananas. But I'm still in the water. I'm still having my classroom has just kind of expanded a little bit.
At some point, you took that leap of faith. You left your job as a PE teacher. You bought a boat. You started Go Castaway from scratch. Take me back to that decision. Were you excited, scared out of your mind? How did you feel in that moment?
Well, being a PE teacher allowed me the opportunity to build a clientele while I was still teaching. I was able to call in sick per se. You didn't even have to lie. You just went online and ordered a sub, and next thing you know, because it was PE, it would get snatched up immediately. So I always had coverage for my kids, and then I could go and get sunburned and show up to school the next day, and no one knew different because I was always tan. I was always getting sun from being out on the PE field. So that was a pretty good transition. But then it became where it's like, listen, I'm taking one day off a month to one day off a week to a couple days off a week. I told my boss I had anal glaucoma. I couldn't see my butt going to work anymore. So I finished the school year. I quit in June, and we've been off the running for 10 years now, doing it full time. But it was definitely a leap of faith. That is definitely a trusting God to provide. I had just met my wife. We had started dating, and I had a full-time job. I think her parents were excited that she was dating a guy with an established career, been teaching for a while. And the next thing you know, we're engaged, and I quit my job, and we're like, "Whoa, what's this guy doing? How are we going to pay the bills?" But we've never gone without. I'm very blessed, and again, even this morning, as I'm running across the river, it was slick calm. The sun's just coming up over the VAB, the Vehicle Assembly Building, and right there by NASA. And to be able to see that every day, truly, I mean this, it never gets old. And seeing those redfish tails pop up out of the water and then feeding, I get goosebumps talking about it. It makes me it gets me so excited.
Well, I was gonna ask you that because they say that if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, right? But I was gonna ask you, is that true for you? Because you're out fishing professionally or guiding professionally every single day. Does it get to a point where fishing is not it doesn't feel like a passion anymore. It feels more like a chore. Do you ever reach that point?
No, see, what people don't know about the charter industry is a lot of the behind the scenes.
Mhm.
So what they didn't see was this morning at 3:30 at a gas station, I was repairing my trolling motor battery. I was out on the water yesterday, and the terminal on my battery cable popped off, and my trolling motor stopped working, and I couldn't fix it on the boat. And then, of course, I get home and I take off the fishing guide hat and put on my dad hat, and I totally forgot. So then last night, when I was getting everything finalized and prepped for today, I remembered. I was like,
Mm.
I'm gonna fix it in the morning. So it's stuff like that that happens, you know. It is a boat, things do happen, and we have to prepare things behind the scenes. The taxes side of it is definitely work. Doing the administrative side is definitely work. But being on the water, that's not work. You know, we're polling a little bit right now. It's 100 degrees outside. That's a little bit taxing, but still, it's still worth it. Seeing those moments where it all comes together, that
Yeah,
makes
I,
every blood, sweat, and tears worth it.
absolutely. I'll do it in the morning is a trap every single time because I do that whenever I'm low on gas. Like I'll get gas in the morning, and then morning comes, I'm running late, and inevitably I get in my car, I'm on E. I'm like,
I gotta stop. I got. Well, you know, for me towing a boat, it is a whole lot easier for me to get fuel in the morning than in the afternoon. So it is part of my routine. I just got up a little extra early so I could take care of that. And that's my moment of just rigging rods at 3:30 in the morning at gas station, it's pretty quiet. We've got a few visitors every once in a while who want to talk fishing, and it can be a little distracting. But for the most part, it's just me and a gas pump and rigging rods and getting ready and just kind of zoning in on what I'm going to do that day.
well, 8 seasons on the captain's log. That's quite an accomplishment. Congratulations. How do
Thank
you
you.
feel like things have changed from when you first started out in season one to now?
Well, we've done 8 seasons, 80 episodes in 6 years. That first episode, we didn't know what we were doing. You know, we had a plan, catch fish, get it filmed, and then figure out the editing from there. Now I've got such a great team. I've been filming with the same guys the entire time, and not everyone can say that. I'm very blessed to have that relationship with my team. The Outside Chance Media crew just does a phenomenal job. They know my expectations of what I want from them, and I always make them the same promise every time we film. I'm going to capture everything I can as long as you can capture everything you can. So that's kind of our relationship. But I'm very blessed with that. I've always enjoyed the content creation, even when I was a kid. And then the progression of, you know, from IMAX having iMovie on your computer and doing that at school, and then getting, you know, a GoPro, and then all of a sudden we're filming on our phones. It's like, whoa, there's just all this ability to create, and now to be able to share that story, bring the pages of the captain's log to life. And we try, it's important to me that, hey, if I blow a shot or if a fish comes off, we can show that. That's okay. Like, we don't always catch every fish. Sometimes the fish do win. Now, you can't have an episode of no fish because no one would watch. Like, they would turn the channel pretty quick. But there's realities of that. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm inviting the audience, hey, join us on the boat. Let's go fishing together. I've got a guest with me. They're pulling or I'm pulling. We're going off. Sometimes I don't catch the first fish. Sometimes I don't catch the biggest fish. There's been a couple episodes where I didn't catch any fish, or I was in the back of the boat leading the charge for the day. That's the story. That's reality. That's us going fishing, and that's what we're trying to capture, bringing the pages of the captain's log to life.
Do you have any episodes or any trips in particular that really stick out to you? I mean, that could be in a good or a bad way.
Yeah, yeah. So one of my favorites, and it's top of the list of all the shows we've released. I was fishing with Captain Chris Schultz out of Mayport, Jacksonville, Florida. We were fishing for red snapper on fly fishing for red snapper in the Atlantic Ocean in 100 feet of water. When he called me and told me, in fact, Travis Thompson introduced me to Chris and said, this dude's legit. You need to talk to him. And I started seeing some of his posts on social media. We got into a phone call and immediately felt like we were best friends. Like, I've known this guy for a long time and I had just met him. We get out in the water, we chum these fish up, and I see all these red snapper. And you throw that fly, you make that presentation, and now they're fighting over it, and you're hooking up, and those fish immediately are going back down to the bottom, and your reel is just singing. That was just one of the most fun. I was laughing the whole time. Like it was just so much fun. So that was a big moment. Fishing for redfish on the flood tide in St. Augustine. That is, if you've never experienced a flood tide, that's one of the most exciting, just aggressive redfish eats you'll ever have. But I also did redfish over in Louisiana, where we had 1,000 redfish up on the surface in 2 feet of water on the Chandelier Islands. And it was the most incredible redfish sight and fisher I've ever seen in my entire life. Or the opportunity I got to catch that 40-inch snook behind me. Like these are the moments I'm blessed with to be able to be out on the water and experience to share that with the audience. So yeah, there's a ton of episodes that have been really really special. Filming with my dad, season 1, very very special. Did we catch anything big? No, but it doesn't matter. We were together fishing. The man who got it started for me out in the outdoors. So there's been a lot of special moments, a lot of special fish, and stuff that I'll never forget these days.
Some of the best memories that I have from my childhood are sitting there on the dock with my great grandpa, and he's gone now.
Yeah,
And I don't remember anything that we caught at all, but I remember
yeah.
that time with him. So it's really cool to kind of see how fishing can act, not just as a sport and as a hobby, but really as kind of a bonding experience for
Oh,
families.
absolutely. Like and I said it earlier, having the opportunity to create these memories for families when they're on my boat on a guide service. Even last weekend, I dropped off my clients. My wife was there waiting for me with my boys. The four of us got to go out after a long day of chartering. My wife said, "You're crazy. You want to stay out in the sun more?" I was like, I'll do anything to spend time on the water with my family. That's the most important to me. So yeah, it's creating those memories together, core memories, things that they're always going to remember. My kids just finished, one just finished kindergarten, the other just finished preschool. And they said on this piece of paper that my wife has, it has their name and their age and what do you want to be. And they put, I want to be a charter captain. Now, I want them to aspire to be more than me and more than a charter captain, but their love for the outdoors is because of the moments and the memories that my wife and I have been able to create with them. And that's very, very special.
And I want to talk about your wife for a second. For those who don't know, Jonathan's wife, Brooke, hosts Trail to Tide. It's an outdoor show that's tailored to women and moms, which is an underserved audience here in the outdoor world, if in my opinion. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. Jonathan, how cool is it that you've been able to turn this love for the outdoors into a family affair, not just with your kids, but with your wife as well?
Listen, I hit the jackpot. I tell her all the time, she's way smarter than me. The dumbest thing she ever did was marry this guy. She could have done way better than me, let me tell you. But when we met, she didn't grow up in a outdoorsy, fishy family. And when we had met, she had already had her own rod and reel. She had watched some videos on YouTube and learned how to tie some knots. She bought a rod and reel from the Bass Pro and was going fishing off the seawall there on the Indian River and catching fish all on her own. And so I've been able to watch her blossom, grow as an angler, become very pro. We went fishing last fall and we were bass fishing and the bass were schooling, pushing the bait up on the surface, just going bananas. And my son, the two of them were up on the bow, and my son made a cast and hooked my wife in the shoulder. Like, I mean, it went through her shirt, through her bra strap, all the way into her shoulder, buried the hook. And she's like, babe, cut it off, cut it off. I want to fish. There's fish here in front of me. Where I think most people have been like, okay, forget the fish. Like, let's get this out of my body. And then we'll think about, she was just cut the line. I got to make a cast. There's fish right here. And then she proceeded to catch one of the biggest bass she's ever caught in her life with a lure still in her shoulder. So, that whole progression has just been amazing to watch. Just stand back and go, this is cool. I'm truly the luckiest man alive. But for her, she also is very passionate about hiking and going on trails and exploring. And sometimes I gotta whistle and say, hey, the trail's here. She wants to blaze her own trail and find new places. And so for her, she's like, how can I encourage women to do this? How can I encourage those moms that are at home that are trying to think about how they can get their kids outside or off of screens and having that balance? And so she's really focusing on those incredible women out there. She's had single moms on, she's had single ladies on, and just talking to them different things they're doing. She's had biologists and just women in the field in the industry who are just crushing it. So if you're a lady or you have a lady and you're interested in the outdoors or they're interested in the outdoors, check out Brooke's show, Trail to Tide. It's some really great information.
I do think that's important. I do think that's important because I work in sports and I work in outdoors, right? So those are two highly male dominated industries, but there are so many women out there who are interested in those things. There are
Yeah,
women who love sports. There are women who love the outdoors, who love to go hiking like your wife. I personally, hiking is my favorite thing in the world. My husband and I get out and
love it.
explore whenever we can, but some women don't know where to start or they're afraid to go out there by themselves or whatever it might be. So I just think it's really important to kind of have those female voices in this space to empower women to that you can still go out there and hunt and fish and hike and kayak and all the
Yeah,
things just like the guys do.
yeah, yeah. And honestly, it might sound cliche, but she's my best friend. And so to be able to experience those things with her, like that's it. She's my person. That's my family. That's my life. And so to be able to do those things together, love it. Cherry on top. I've said it several times already, but I can't say it enough. I am truly a very blessed person.
And you have two boys, right?
Two boys,
Okay.
uh,
Okay.
D and Cy, 4 and 6. They're crazy. They are one. Dieter has a shirt that says nearly feral, and it is very true. They are all boy, and they love they're always dirty. I mean, Brooke is always, it's a complaint and a joke between us. She's always doing laundry between those boys, keeping her busy. But they are all boy and go, go, go from the minute they wake up to the minute we drag them to bed. They are go, go, go all the time.
Well, you know what? And now that we live in a world where technology rules our lives and rules kids' lives, I think it's really cool that your kids are out there getting dirty as they should be because they're
Yeah.
children. How intentional as a dad do you have to be to get your kids away from screens and get out there? Is that something that just kind of happens naturally because of what you do, or is that something that you have to make a point to do?
I did not I wasn't a screens guy growing up. I didn't play video games. The last video game console I had was a Sega Genesis. Remember that? The little 32-bit, the original Sonic the Hedgehog. That was forever ago. That was the last thing I had.
Don't
And
date
so,
us, Jonathan. We don't need
right, right.
that.
But I just like being outside. And
Yeah.
so it just comes natural for them because, hey, mom and dad are outside. Whether we're working in the garden or out back playing with the dogs or we're going fishing or hiking or doing something, we just do something outside all the time. Now, this time of year can be a little bit more difficult with it being so hot, but then you got to be strategic. We're not going to plan to be out for 8 hours. We're going to go out early in the morning or in the evening after it rains. We're going to pack some extra food and snacks, or we're going to go swimming at the island or the sandbar. And then after a great day, hey, we go get some ice cream or we go do something to really solidify it. So when they look back and go, man, doing stuff outside is fun. We every time we do this, we do this, we get this or we get to experience that. And then it becomes these fun memories. So when we want to go outside or we're going to do something, it's not a bad experience because they've done it so many times. It's been so positive.
I mean, I don't want to be a hypocrite. I don't want to demonize screens altogether. I work in media. You have a show. We're talking on
Yeah.
YouTube right now.
Yeah.
But there is something beautiful about taking a boat out to where you don't have any service anymore.
Oh yeah. I see the release. I meet my clients at the dock. We shake hands, we say good morning. They get on my boat, they put the phones away, and you see the shoulders go just drop. You
Mm.
see the big sighs. You see it happen. I witness this daily. There's nothing wrong with the screens. That's a big part of our jobs. But when you put it away and you escape, there's that big breath, that release. And then when you see those fish or you hook up on a fish, then it just changes. It just changes. The excitement, the adrenaline starts pumping. You see that fish, that redfish cruising down the shoreline. You make that presentation. You see them react to it. And regardless if you hook them or not, that was such a cool experience. You just want to do it over and over again. And so that's what I see every single day. Like I said, it's hot outside. So sometimes we take a break and we put on a show and we sit together. And that's okay. As long as there's balance, I think you're okay.
That exhale is so real. Like when you said that, I was like, oh, I could feel that right now. you
Yeah.
you guide a lot of families and plenty of kids. Do you have advice for parents who maybe want to get their kids outside and appreciating the outdoors more, like starting from an early age?
Oh, listen, keep it simple. You don't need to be there all day. If they're there an hour and they're ready to go, go. Catfish are fine. There's catfish are in salt water get so much hate. Ladyfish get so those are perfect.
Yeah.
Keep your kids busy. Hey, your kids playing in the shrimp in the back or in the bait bucket or in the live well. It's okay. They're having fun. They're engaged. They're with you. You're on the water. It's okay. And if you can do those things, listen, I get kids on the boat all the time and I gear my trips. We'll go catch 10-inch trout all day long, speckled sea trout. And are they big? Nope. Do they tug? Yes, they do. Can the kid do it on their own? Yes, they can. And you know what? They're hooked. They're hooked. And when they have those moments, now you can slowly progress. You don't start out eating steak and potatoes. You start out eating pureed baby food. So you got to have those baby steps. And as they grow and as they become a better angler, you're going to stay longer. You're going to catch bigger fish. You're going to target those harder fish. But from the beginning, from the onset, keep it simple, stupid. Keep it easy. Have fun, relax. And it doesn't matter what you catch, doesn't matter what they're doing. As long as everyone's engaged and having fun, you're on the right track.
Yeah, these are all really important things. You and Brooke have both been active in the push for the right to hunt and fish. And I know that Florida
Yes.
passed Amendment 2 in 2024, giving people of Florida the right to hunt and fish, which is wonderful. But this is still a fight that's going on across the country. It sure looks like
Oh,
IP 28 is going to be on the ballot in Oregon. What do people need to know about that? And what can they do to kind of make sure that those rights stay with them?
well, listen, in the state of Florida, we are the 24th state in the union to sign a state constitutional right to hunt fish. In the state of Oregon, they're voting this year to make hunting, fishing, farming, raising livestock, that's illegal, a criminal offense. And when we were pushing for this to pass in the state of Florida, I can't tell you how many people told me, Jonathan, there is no way they're going to take that away in the state of Florida. Well, let me ask you, do you lock your doors at night? Well, of course I lock my doors at night. Why? Because you want to protect the things that you love. You want to protect your family. This is the same thing. There might not be a threat now, but there's in the state of Florida, this was a couple of years ago. But look at the threat in Oregon. That's huge. If that passes, can you imagine? You could go to jail for raising, for farming, for raising animals, for having backyard chickens, for going fishing, for going hunting. That's insane. Right now in Colorado, Initiative 302, there's an opportunity. If you are in Colorado, you need to sign the petition. They need a certain number of signatures to get it on the ballot to vote in November for Initiative 302 to pass for the right to hunt fish in the state of Colorado. That's crucial. Let's make Colorado the 25th state in the union to have that. That's absolutely incredible. You think about when this country was founded, where did people go to get groceries? It wasn't your local grocery store, it wasn't Costco, it wasn't Sam's, it wasn't Publix. They went out on the field. They went hunting. They went fishing. They had to go. So there was no thought back then that this was ever going to be a problem. Now we're seeing the rise of the resistance, right? We're seeing the pushback. Well, we have to protect the animals. One of the best ways to protect your animals is science-based management through hunting and fishing. And it's amazing. When you look at anglers, when you look at hunters, those are the best conservationists. Those are the most conservation-minded people you're going to meet because they care about their estuaries, their habitats, the stock numbers, and the raising and the caring of our wild lands so that we can continue this generational tradition for years to come.
And I think that's why it's important to have these conversations, because the way that they're kind of packaging this in Oregon is like, oh, well, this is anti-animal cruelty. But it's like, well, yeah, of course. Like none of us want cruelty to animals, like we're all
Right.
anti-animal cruelty. Hunters, anglers, they're all anti-animal cruelty. But when you package it that way without the education that goes behind it, without the education about conservation and population management and spreading disease and invasive species and that sort of thing, it's easy to just simplify it as like, well, we don't want to hurt animals. And I think that that's the problem, is that like they're really misleading voters on what this really is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When you start tugging at emotional heartstrings and you're not looking at the science, you're not looking at the language, you're not looking beyond the emotional side of it, you're going to be misled. So, as a voter, please do your research, do your due diligence. Don't just show up and go, oh, yeah, I'm anti animal cruelty 100%. I like releasing fish, but I also like providing for my family. I like, seeing the deer in the population, but do you know that if we don't harvest X number of deer every year, they're either going to die of disease or getting hit by vehicles? That number is going to decrease one way or another. So we might as well manage the population through science-based management backed by hunting and fishing. It just makes sense, y'all. It just makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know if you're a country music fan, but there's a country singer named Jordan Davis who harvested an axis deer in Hawaii a couple weeks ago, and he's taken a lot of backlash for it. But what people don't understand is that like axis deer are an invasive species in Hawaii, and they're
Mm.
destroying the ecosystem there. So it's really, really important to keep that population under control. And those are the kind of things, and we could list a zillion other examples. You have a ton of invasive species in Florida. You have the python and the lionfish and things like that that people don't know about. They just kind of like look at it from like a hearts and flowers and rainbows perspective of like, well, let's protect the animals.
Right. I heard a great example about ribeye in the sky, the sandhill cranes in Michigan, how they're destroying these farms, the fields, and the Fish and Wildlife there. The DNR is issuing, 3 or 4 tags for these farmers when there's 3 or 4 hundred birds in their fields. Is management is so crucial for populations, truthfully. Like you want to manage your populations again through science so
Mm-hmm.
that you can best fit your estuary, your population, your people, and your animals. It's just facts, and there's science behind that. You mentioned the invasive. I got recently got to take my kids down to the Everglades. We're in the northern end of the Everglades, fishing for an invasive fish, the Mayan cichlid, and the state has no number on how many you can keep because they're just so they're blowing up. There's so many of them. And so we got down there and we brought home 70 of them, had an absolute blast. And then with that, I got home and it took me a while to fillet all these fish, but then I was able to feed. My family came over, our extended family came over, some neighbors came over. We had a big fish fry. Everyone brought sides. And now we're coming alongside each other at the table, enjoying a meal, harvesting an invasive species that is great table fare. We didn't put a dent in the population even though we brought home 70. So there's something about that where we're able to help manage a population and yet feed my friends and my family and have a meal together and create memories. That's what I'm about. I love that.
Well, you certainly couldn't ask for a better place on earth to do what you do. I know you spend a lot of time. You mentioned the Indian River. I think you do some stuff in the Mosquito Lagoon as well. What is it about these spots that just keep you coming back?
The chase, the thrill of the chase, going after this fish, it truly never gets old. And then with the TV show, having the opportunity to see so many estuaries, we filmed from South Padre Island, Texas, all the way to Charleston, South Carolina, down to the Keys, all over the Southeast, and to be able to experience these different fisheries and learn from these guides in their areas and take little tips and tricks from their area, incorporate that in my area. There's just so much to learn. I learn something new every single day. Whether that be the fish are behaving this way on this tide or on this moon, or they really don't like that presentation, or man, it's a 98-degree water temperature. They don't like this spot. I need to go find deeper arm. We're always analyzing. We're always thinking. We're always trying to improve because the ultimate only for me, I'm trying to provide the utmost experience for my clients. So, no, it never gets old, and it's just a special, special place. And the Mosquito Lagoon, it is a very special estuary. There's no tide there. Most of the fish that are there year round. The migratory fish are your tarpon. We got some snook that'll leave as it gets colder, but your redfish, your black drum, and your speckled sea trout, they're there. They spend their whole lives there. They're born there, they live there, they procreate there, they die there. So it's a very, very special place. And you're in the middle of the Merritt Island National Wildlife Refuge. NASA's to your south, Atlantic Ocean's to the east. There's nothing around. It's very quiet. It's very peaceful. Right now, we're experiencing it is an algae bloom, but it's the bioluminescence. So, like this morning, I was in the water at 5:30. It was dark, and I'm able to show my clients the water lighting up blue. And people think, "Oh, Jonathan, you got a light on." I'm like, "No, no, no, watch." And I'll rev up my engine, and it gets brighter and gets brighter. It's just so, or you're idling out of the marina out into the river, and just all your wake is pushing out this bioluminescence, and it's turning blue, and it's unbelievably beautiful. So it's just every day is a new experience. It never gets old.
Well, I'm in Tennessee, but my parents live in Florida, so I get an opportunity to go down there and check some spots out. I've been to Crystal River and seen the manatees, and I feel like
Yes.
Florida has so many hidden gems. But do you think that those kind of get overlooked because people are just so fixated on the beaches?
No, the beaches are special. Disney World's special. A lot of people coming here, but I take a lot of families that I hear this a lot. I take a lot of families that come into town to go to theme parks, and then they take a day to go do something outdoorsy and out in the nature, and I'll get phone calls, 6 months later. We're still thinking about those fish. We're still thinking about that day. So yes, people are coming for those places, but they also you get snippets here and there, and you get families that experience that, and next thing more families are coming down because they heard them experience that someone else had. So, yeah, there's a lot of hidden places, but uh, people are coming, people are experiencing it, and social media has really helped blow that up. But I don't know. I don't think there's too many hidden places anymore in the state of Florida.
They've all been found.
They've been found.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm still thinking about is that monster grouper that you pulled out of shallow water in Crystal River.
Yes.
That was in season 8. I believe it was posted about a month ago. I was so jealous. Grouper is my absolute favorite. I have been on a handful of charters in Florida, and I remain grouperless. So it sounds like next time I come down, I'm gonna have to go fishing with you.
Yeah, I was fishing there with Captain Adam Whitston, who's actually he was the very first episode of season 1. So we have been filming together for a while, but you're fishing in 6, 7 feet of water. Like it's shallow, not very deep at all. You've got these piles of rocks. These fish come in the wintertime to spawn in there. And let me tell you, we're using 8 foot heavy rods, an 8,000 series spinner reel, 50-pound braid, 50, 60-pound leader, big lip plugs, and you cast and you reel as fast as you can, and they hit it and it stops. It is you hold on. If you give an inch, you're gonna lose. You've just gotta grit your teeth and muscle them out and yank and pull, and it is drags locked, and it's just hand to hand combat. It is so much fun. I absolutely love doing that.
Awesome. Well, I don't know that there's a fish that's more beautiful and more ugly at the same time than a grouper.
They've got the most beautiful green eyes and their camo pattern. I say that the flounder has that inshore pattern, but those grouper do have a very cool pattern to them. And don't forget those teeth. They've got some teeth in their mouth, and they've got those gill rakers. They can really get you, but they're cool fish.
I will never forget one time my brother and I were walking the beach in Fort Myers, and we came across, it was early morning, and we came across a Goliath grouper that had been bitten in half. Like it was just half of a Goliath grouper. It was the one of the coolest things I've ever seen before.
Well, they say there's always a bigger fish,
Yep.
and those Goliath groupers can get hundreds of pounds, but there are some big sharks out in that water. That is for sure.
Yeah, this was just a half of a fish and it was about 3 feet long. So
Golly. So just imagine how big that shark was that took a chunk out of it.
yeah.
Oh,
Absolutely.
I love it. I've been out in the ocean fishing with my dad out in the Gulf. We had a family friend that had an 18-foot whaler, and we'd go out, and I must have been 12 or 13 years old, and we were catching red grouper, and we were getting line burners, like just short to be able to keep them. So we're throwing them back, and then we'd get a good one. High five, and back down, catch them, and then this tiger shark swam to the boat and got beside the boat. And I'm telling you, I know I'm a kid. I was a kid then, and I know I'm a fisherman, so we have tendencies to exaggerate, but I kid you not, that shark was at least 12, 13 feet long. And I yelled at my dad, Pop, Pop, look, look. And he looked, and fish was gone like that. Shark took off like that. So there's some big fish out in that water.
When someone goes fishing with you for the first time out on your charter, what do you want them to take away from that trip?
Oh, if you can walk away, being a better angler, learning some stuff on how you can, better present to a fish or better work a lure or better cast, or have the mindset of, the conservation mindset, learn more about conservation, why water quality matters, why habitat matters. These are things we talk about on the boat. Yeah, I say I go on a first date every day. I get to meet new people, and I get to ask questions, and I get to learn about those people, and I truly enjoy that. It's a great part of my job. But at the end of the day, I want them to understand why I'm so passionate about this water, how they can become a better angler when they get home, and how they can, the steps that they can take to help improve their estuaries back home. Those are all goals on my list when we go fishing.
Do you have anything new coming up that you want people to know about? A new season of Captain's Log, a new project? What should we be looking out for with you?
Well, I'm really excited. I just got to partner. Well, we've got something coming up called the Coastal Corridor, and I can't tell you too much about it. It's going to be released at ICAST. So depending on when this is going to come out, it'll either be before ICAST or after ICAST. It's coming up very quickly, but we've got some projects coming out to create new artificial reefs throughout the state of Florida, and you, as a volunteer, as an angler, can be a part of that. So I'm really excited about that. On a personal side, I got a brand new boat coming, and I'm being part of building a boat. And my wife's involved with that, and we get to pick out the colors and the color scheme. And I'm just really excited about a new boat coming. We're going to use that boat for the new season. We'll start filming the new season, season 9, here in the fall. And you can look forward to seeing that in the spring of next year. But a lot of stuff, a lot of moving pieces over here. So personally, some cool stuff. And then for you guys, listeners out there, you anglers out there, we've got a really cool project coming out with the Florida Coastal Corridor.
Awesome. Well, Captain Jonathan Moss, everybody, go check out the Captain's Log on Waypoint and YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Go book a trip with him on Go Castaway next time you're in Central Florida. Jonathan, this was so much fun. Thank you for being here.
Amber, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.